Ava Langford woke to the soft hum of an air conditioner, the kind found in high-end hotels, steady, cold, and unfamiliar. Her eyes blinked open to a ceiling she had never seen before, painted in muted gray with inset lighting. She shifted slightly, and that was when she felt it, warmth pressed against her side. Her breath caught. She turned her head slowly. Ethan Hale, her junior engineer, her newest hire, the quiet, brilliant one who barely spoke above a murmur during meetings but whose ideas were reshaping the future of Novaline's AI division. And he was asleep beside her. Ava jerked backward, clutching the blanket tightly around herself. Her heart pounded against her ribs, each beat louder than the last. She took in the room. Scattered clothes, a toppled glass on the minibar counter, the faint smell of citrus soap. Nothing felt familiar, nothing felt safe. What the? She whispered, checking under the blanket just long enough to confirm the nightmare scenario was real. She had nothing on. Ethan stirred at the sound of her movement. His eyes fluttered open, and confusion washed across his face before he shot upright, hands raised as though surrendering. "Ma'am. Ava. Please," he stammered. "I swear I didn't touch you. This isn't what it looks like." Her breath came in shallow bursts. She scanned the room again, trying, desperately, to claw back memories of the previous night. The gala, the champagne, the award speech, a dizzy spell she brushed off. Ethan helping her walk when her heel snapped. A vague recollection of flashing lights, cameras, and her insistence that she didn't want to go through the front entrance. Then, nothing. She wrapped the blanket tighter. "Why am I here? Why am I?" She gestured at herself, voice cracking with frustration. "You spilled wine all over your dress," Ethan said, keeping his gaze fixed on the wall. "You insisted on washing it. You were barely standing, and you didn't want to go home with reporters outside, so I brought you to the unused executive suite. I slept on top of the blanket the whole night. You, rolled over." Ava swallowed hard. His tone was sincere, gentle, and terrified, but sincerity didn't erase the reality. A CEO waking up naked beside her employee could destroy careers, both of theirs. Her mind raced with calculations, consequences, headlines she could already hear echoing in her skull. Something was wrong, more wrong than a night she couldn't remember. And deep down, beneath the panic, Ava felt something colder. Someone wanted this to happen. Ava paced the length of the suite, the blanket wrapped around her like armor. Every step echoed the same silent mantra: "This cannot be happening." Ethan sat rigid on the edge of the couch, hands folded, shoulders tense, keeping as much physical distance as possible, as if afraid even air proximity could incriminate him. Her clothes, freshly dried, hung neatly over the back of a chair. She grabbed the dress, the fabric crisp, smelling faintly of detergent instead of wine. She stared at it, at the damp memory of last night clinging to the edges of her mind. "Why didn't you call my driver?" she snapped, though the hostility was fueled more by panic than anger. "I did," Ethan replied quietly. 3 times. He didn't pick up. "I tried the backup number too. They said he'd already left the gala with another executive. You told me not to order a rideshare because of cameras outside. You said you didn't want a headline." Ava froze. That did sound like her, always thinking about optics, about how even her shadow could be taken out of context. But she hated that she couldn't remember saying it. She slipped her dress on behind the bathroom door, taking a steadying breath as the fabric brushed against her skin. She found her purse on the table, dumped its contents out, and immediately spotted something wrong. Her phone battery was dead. Completely black. "I charged this at the gala," she muttered. "It was at 80%. Ethan's brows drew together. "You dropped it getting out of the car." "I picked it up, but the screen glitched and died. I thought maybe it was the impact." Ava stopped cold. Her phone rarely glitched. It was a custom secured model. She wasn't sure she believed in coincidences anymore. She emerged from the bathroom, composed but pale, every motion deliberate. "CEO mode. Crisis mode. Listen," Ethan said carefully, standing but keeping his posture non-threatening. "Nothing happened. You were exhausted, dizzy. You could barely form sentences. I know," Ava cut in. His concern wasn't the issue. The issue was how easily this could be turned against her. But the board won't see it that way. The press definitely won't. Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. He looked like he was calculating the exact moment his career would implode. Ava grabbed her blazer, slipping it over her shoulders. We're going to the office. No one can know we arrived together. You take a separate car. You head straight to your department. Act normal. Ethan hesitated. What about you? She looked at him, steel settling into her eyes. I'm going to find out why someone wanted me vulnerable last night, and why they made damn sure I wouldn't remember any of it. The fear that had been clawing at her gut since morning solidified into certainty. This wasn't an accident. This was a setup, and it had only just begun. When Ava stepped through the revolving glass doors of Nova Line headquarters, the energy inside the building felt wrong. Not the usual Monday morning tension or post-gala exhaustion, something sharper, tighter, almost electric. Conversations hushed when she passed. Eyes flicked toward her, then away. Assistants exchanged glances over coffee cups. Even the security guard, who always greeted her with a warm good morning, Ms. Langford, gave only a stiff nod, gaze lingering a second too long. Ava's heels clicked down the marble hallway, each step measured despite the chaos spinning in her mind. She kept her expression carefully neutral, the CEO mask she'd perfected over years of scrutiny. But inside, everything she'd worked for felt like it was slipping through her fingers. She'd barely reached the executive elevator when her chief of staff, Marlene, hurried toward her with a tablet clutched to her chest. Her expression was tight, guarded. Good, you're here, Marlene said. The board wants an emergency meeting. In 30 minutes. Ava stiffened. About what? Marlene swallowed, then angled the tablet toward her. A photo filled the screen, grainy, dimly lit, but crystal clear in its implications. Ava leaning heavily on Ethan outside the hotel. His arm around her waist. Her hair disheveled, her eyes half closed. The caption underneath. CEO seen entering hotel suite with employee after gala. Sources report. Concerning behavior. Ava's stomach dropped. Her throat tightened, but she forced her expression flat. Where did this come from? Anonymous social account, Marlene said. It was posted an hour ago. It's already being shared across internal chat rooms, investor circles, and everywhere else. Ava exhaled slowly through her nose. Someone had been ready, waiting, to strike the moment she stepped into the building. As Marlene continued briefing her, Ava's eyes flicked around the lobby. Heads were turning again. A pair of department heads whispered, eyes darting between her and their phones. Her leadership team, usually calm and deferential, looked rattled, jittery, like animals sensing a predator nearby. She entered the executive elevator, and as the doors closed, the silence wrapped around her like ice. Her reflection stared back in the mirrored walls, composed, polished, but with a flicker of unease behind the eyes. On the top floor, the tension worsened. Assistants abruptly turned away from her. Closed-door meetings paused as she walked by. She passed the boardroom and caught fragments of muffled conversation. Her name, the word, unfit, a mention of stability concerns. Her jaw clenched. When she entered her office, the skyline view did nothing to soften the mood. Ethan was nowhere in sight, and that was good. Any interaction between them would be fuel on a fire someone clearly intended to ignite. A soft tap sounded at her door. Her CFO, Lincoln Hayes, stepped in. Too quickly, too eagerly. Ava, he said, voice dripping with false sympathy, I just want you to know the board is concerned. They're questioning your judgment. There are whispers, your health, your stress level, potential impairment last night. A chill slid down her spine. Those weren't random whispers. Those were scripted talking points. Planned, coordinated. Someone in this building wasn't just trying to embarrass her, they were trying to remove her. A hostile takeover. From the inside, Ava straightened, meeting Lincoln's gaze dead on. If the board wants to question me, she said coolly, they'll do it to my face. Lincoln smiled, too smooth, too controlled. Oh, they will. The moment he left, Ava closed her office door, her heartbeat loud in the silence. Everything, her memory lapse, her sudden phone glitch, the conveniently positioned photographer, the spreading rumors, fit too perfectly. Someone had orchestrated last night. Someone with resources, connections, and motive. And they wanted her out of power. But they were about to learn the one thing everyone underestimated about Ava Langford. She didn't break, she hunted. A knock sounded on Ava's office door, urgent, rapid, almost panicked. Before she could answer, Ethan slipped inside, closing it behind him with trembling hands. His face was pale, breath uneven, and he looked nothing like the quiet engineer she'd hired 3 months ago. He looked like someone who had seen something dangerous. Ava, he stopped himself. Ms. Langford, you need to see this right now. She stood from behind her desk, tension coiling in her shoulders. What is it? Ethan held up a USB drive pinched between his fingers. Proof. I think someone set you up. The words landed like a physical blow. Ava gestured him forward and locked the door behind them. She crossed the room to her secure terminal, a biometric console used only for sensitive documents. Plug it in. Ethan took a breath, steadying himself, and inserted the drive. The monitor lit up with a series of time-stamped video clips, corrupted, static-filled, but recoverable. I went back to the hotel this morning, Ethan said. When I asked the night staff about security footage, they told me everything from the gala night was accidentally erased. That didn't sound right, so I checked the system myself. Someone had manually deleted the files. Ava's heartbeat kicked up, which means someone had access. And purpose, Ethan added quietly. The first video clip loaded. A hooded figure in the hotel's staff hallway, stepping into a maintenance room. A few minutes later, the same figure emerged with a keycard and a small envelope. They handed it to an employee, who glanced around nervously before pocketing it. Ava's jaw tightened. Bribery. The next clip showed something worse. The figure positioning a paparazzi photographer near the hotel's side entrance. They handed him a printed sheet with a photo circled, Ava's face. The photographer nodded, visibly excited. Ethan clicked to the third clip, a shot of the hotel's garage entrance, where Ava and Ethan had arrived. It was clear someone had been waiting for them long before they ever approached the door. A cold realization settled over Ava. This wasn't about catching her in a compromising situation. This was about manufacturing one. Keep watching, Ethan whispered. The final clip showed the hooded figure leaving the hotel at 3:12 a.m., the same time Ava and Ethan were still unconscious in the suite. They climbed into a black sedan with tinted windows. The license plate was deliberately blurred in post-processing, but not perfectly. Ava leaned closer, narrowing her eyes. Go back 2 frames, Ethan rewound. Ava paused the video, zoomed in, enhancing the numbers. One detail clicked instantly. She knew that partial plate. It matched a vehicle registered to a shell company connected to a familiar name. Her CFO, Lincoln Hayes. Her blood went cold, then hot with fury. All the odd behavior, all the concerned whispers, all the unfit to lead suggestions, all the board members circling like vultures. Lincoln hadn't just taken advantage of the situation, he had engineered it. Ethan turned toward her, voice low. He wanted you removed. He wanted the board to panic. And he wanted you alone and discredited. Ava stood, every trace of fear burning into steel. She reached for the USB and closed her fist around it. They think a scandal will weaken me. Her eyes hardened. They have no idea what they've started. Ethan swallowed, nodding slowly. What do? We don't panic, Ava said, already moving. We gather evidence. We control the narrative. And then, she opened her office safe, sliding the USB inside. We take down everyone who thought they could destroy me. For the first time since waking in that hotel suite, Ava felt something powerful settle in her chest. Not fear, not confusion. Purpose. War.